Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, yesterday I watched a movie that I have only seen parts of throughout the many years, and I gotta say I'm happy to have caught this movie in its entirety. This is the review for Mr. Holland's Opus, and it's more than just a review. It really is a guide for teachers. I mean, this movie has been hailed as a example for what teachers, or an example to be set for teachers who want to teach children in the way of educational value. And this movie is well put together. It has a great director. I mean, this director, Stephen Herrick, he did a lot of comedy movies like Gremlins, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, or not Gremlins, but Critters, rather. Yeah, Critters down here. And The Mighty Ducks, Three Musketeers, 101 Dalmatians. This guy has done some pretty good movies. And these movies in place here before are mostly comedies. You get the Mr. Holland's Opus. This is a drama. And it is so well done. I mean, this movie takes place over a 30-year period. And they cover significant historical events. And I just love how they handle his personal life as well as his teaching life in this movie. This is a man who was, due to the economy at the time, was forced to fall back on teaching. This was his fallback position, or his fallback career, because what he really wanted to do was create an opus of writing a perfect piece of music that would put him into stardom and fame and whatnot. However, he discovers throughout the 30 years of trying to write it that his opus falls into what he does as a teacher. This is a person who didn't want to really teach kids. This was a job to him. But upon being told by a person who would become one of his closest friends, it is more than just a job. You are a compass for these children. You are to guide them to learn. And they do such a wonderful job throughout the years. And there is a line in this movie where he is telling his wife when she learns she's pregnant, she thought he didn't want the kid. However, he was just taken by surprise, so he tells her about the time that he fell in love with music and how he was told to listen to a piece of music over and over, even though he hated it, but he grew to love it. And that is such a powerful line that he tells his wife, because it is literally his life. He hates teaching at first. It's boring. He can't wait to get the hell out of there after each day. But then something happens. He grows to love it. He learns the nuances of it. He helps these many students. Many of them are pretty much seen as lost causes, but he helps them grow into their best selves over the many years. There is also the tragic element, where there are three tragedies really, in this film. There's one where his son is born deaf. He can't hear at all. Or rather, they say he has 10% hearing. So, there is at first, this was during the 60s, they don't want him learning sign language or gesturing, because they feel it would only impact him from having a normal life. That was back in the 50s or 60s when he had his son when his son was a baby. But later on, they can't handle the stress of not being able to understand or talk to their child, and their child not being able to convey what they want. So they bring him to the specialist, and it is such a great way that the story is told. Mr. Holland, he can't find that balance between his students and his personal life, so he has that problem with his son. He doesn't feel his son can understand the passion he has for music until his son finally confronts him on it, because he is sick and tired of his father not thinking well of him. And he has to rely on his wife to understand what his son is saying. And this is a wake-up call for him. He has to learn to balance the priority of his life, his personal life, with the life of his students and teaching. Because he, at this point, really loves teaching. And yes, there is a part in this movie I feel really wasn't needed. There was a student, Rowena, in this film, played by, what's her name? Gene Kelly. Great actress. She did a good job in this movie. You see a lot of actors nowadays are in this movie, like Forrest Whitaker and his brother Damon Whitaker, who look very much like each other. Alicia Witt, William H. Macy. When you see them back in the 90s, they're very much younger. And one of the great things about this movie, Richard Dreyfuss, going from 30s to 60s, the progression of aging and the makeup that they do with him and Glenn Headley and everyone else, they do a wonderful job at conveying the aging process with makeup, and it is really well done. I mean, nowadays they would go the digital route with digital de-aging, where in this it was practical effects. So you also have that great practical effects element in this film as well. The acting is phenomenal. The score for this film, phenomenal. The set dressing of the passage of time of 30 years is so freaking well done. The story is gripping. There are a few elements that I feel did the movie injustice, so to speak. However, upon further review, because I did watch this movie yesterday and a few days prior, where this movie was well done, but now watching it a second time, you understand that there's the scene with Rowena where she has a crush on Mr. Holland, and she wants him to leave with her. He doesn't. He gives her a kiss, not a romantic kiss, but a kiss to let her know, yes, I support your decision to go, but there's nothing that can be done about me and you. It ain't happening. It is that kind of moment. But I originally thought that the crush really didn't need to happen in this story. The way that he teaches his students, he fought for the school program to continue because originally, during the 60s, rock and roll was seen as the devil. And he basically told the teacher or the principal and vice principal, I will do whatever I need to teach these children how to appreciate and love music, whether it is from the classicals to rock and roll. He tells that to them straight up. And then he has to teach a marching band. He has to teach a high school athlete, no musical talent whatsoever, how to play the drums in the marching band. This movie goes, again, like I said, goes through the passage of time. So Vietnam happens. That student that he teaches, who is played by Terrence Howard, does a brilliant job by Terrence Howard, by the way. A young Terrence Howard learning how to play the drums or the beating drums in a marching band. And the lessons of how he gets him to learn the rhythm, how he gets him to find that within himself and become a better person from it. And then he is also one of the athletes. Or Alicia Witt's character, who is Gertrude Lang, who is seen in two different spots as a child, which is played by Alicia Witt, and then later as a different character, where she has grown up as an adult and is the governor 30 years later. It is so freaking great. And this movie does end with a kind of a melancholy, where it is a beautiful story that is told, but it ends with the school shutting down the music and arts program. Because during the 90s, I do remember music and art were on the chopping block for many schools, hence why the whole VH1 Save the Music thing went out, where they did everything to show the public and the government how essential music and arts is to a child's development and in their creative aspects of their lives. And this movie does a wonderful job at telling that as well. However, it is at the beginning of that. Save the Music isn't in this movie. However, he fought against the system and the board. He's like, "You're a great student." He's talking to one of the board members, and he's like, "What the hell happened to you, you know?" And when I saw this movie throughout fully, I thought the governor would be like, "We are going to allocate funds to bring back the music program." That is not what happens. You'd think, or that is a good twist there at the end. The music system, or the music class, does fall and does end. However, she says one of the most beautiful things. You wanted to make this grand piece of music your opus, but we, the many students whose lives you've touched, we are your opus. I'm actually getting choked up from even reciting that line, because that is such a beautiful and powerful scene. And I feel that anyone who hasn't seen this movie should really watch this movie, because it is such a beautiful thing to see the life of what a teacher has to go through, not just in their teaching life, but their personal life. And this movie has been hailed as an exemplary, or as an example for how teachers should teach. They are to guide, they are a compass for the minds that they are building and guiding. They are not there to indoctrinate like many teachers want to do nowadays, which is truly heartbreaking in my opinion. But yes, there are so many powerful moments in this film. I can't cover them all. All I will say is that this movie is truly a wonderful movie. Objectively, I would say this movie is about an 8.5 out of 10. Beautifully done. There are a few pacing issues, because remember, this movie covers 30 years of time, and it's a 2.5 hour movie almost. It's a 2 hour 23 minute movie. However, it's more like 2 minutes, or 2 hours and 10 with credits, or 2 hours 14 minutes with credits, and then 10 minutes of credits. But yeah, this movie does have its pacing issues. However, there are other moments that really make the pacing worth it. So, subjectively, it's a beautiful 10 out of 10er. When it comes to dramas, I am very, very picky about my dramas. Mr. Holland's Opus is a drama that I absolutely love. It is a 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Moviegoer. There were a couple times when I checked my watch and got a little bored due to the pacing issues. So yes, this movie is about an 8 out of 10 as a moviegoer. However, it is still a wonderful movie. If you know anybody who is a teacher, have them watch this movie if they haven't already. It may actually serve to help them become an even better teacher. Anyway, folks, that is my review. I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Check down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Mr. Holland's Opus if you have seen it? Also, if you want to follow me on any of my social media, look in the description of this video. There's the full list of all the different areas you can find me on. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I have another video about James Gunn coming out later, and then tonight's Thursday Singles with my friend Jade Shadow, Mara, will be discussing the movie Dog Soldiers. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews, and always remember, stay humble.